Hello and welcome to Make It Monday. I'm Trina Widdihana. Today I'm going to show you how I made this cute little layered farmyard card. You'll see that it's got some little layers there, dimensions. So it's using two of my new designs in my print cut color range of sheets. So the first one is our farmyard background basics. So you'll see you've got silos, barns, all sorts of little farm backgrounds. And this one, I've printed it using Cricut Design Space with the print then cut feature. So it gives me these black registration marks in the corner. My machine can scan the print when I put it on my mat after I've printed. It'll scan it and then it knows exactly where to cut those elements so that they all come out cut perfectly like this. So this is the first sheet that I've done. And then the second one is our new scene maker with the farm hills. So this one has several extra pieces that you can use to make little pop-up elements on the front. So you'll see this little bush here is this part here on the corner of our card. So it has little tabs that help it to stand off the front of the card. It'll lay flat in the envelope and then when you pull it out, it will pop up and stand out. And so that's one of the cool features about this sheet. I've got another card here that I've also made using elements off both of those sheets. So this one has the longer hillside, so you can see that it stands up like that. And then I've got other little elements and I've inked in the background using one of our new Twistalicious stencil designs. I've actually inked both of these backgrounds. You'll see here, using some Distress Oxide inks and a sponge ink blending tool. And I've done the hills on one side and then twisted it round to get the clouds. So this is an SVG file that you can download from our website. You can cut it out on cardstock or acetate like I've done for a stencil and use it for inking your backgrounds. So let's get started with our creation today. I'm going to start colouring in the pieces that I need to build my scene for my background of my card, the base of the card. You can see here the images that I've already coloured. We've seen those on speed colouring to get through that sheet. So we've got these Farmyard elements have come off of here. And then our scene card, this is what the sheet looks like when you print it, when it's ready to cut on your Cricut machine. So I'll colour these in and then we'll start building our card. Now we're going to use a 5 by 7 inch card base. And so this frame here, I'll just double check our measurements, but it should, and yes it does, it measures 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So when we put it on our 5 by 7 inch base card, we're just going to have a little wee border around the outside. And then these pieces here, I'm going to fold along these lines. I'll fold it back. Now what you can do is use a scoring tool and a little ruler. I'm trying to work out how I can get the Cricut machine to actually score this for me as part of the file. That works on a SVG file, but I think with the print and cut, I'm not sure that it's going to do that function. But they're easy enough just to fold anyway. So we've got those marks. I'm just going to just run along those marks with my scoring tool. And that will just help me to get a nice clean fold. And then I can fold this back towards me. And that way you can see it's going to spring off of my card. Fold that back and then fold it towards me again. So then if I was to put some adhesive, some glue or tape onto these little tabs here, I can glue them onto the front of my panel, and then it's giving me a little bit of a step like a box card. It'll go flat into an envelope, and then when we pull it out it will spring forward, and that way we can build our scene. We can tuck some little things in behind. We can attach our barn perhaps to one of these little parts here, so that way we can build up a little bit. We can color these into bushes and build up a layered scene like that. And then of course we have some smaller pieces as well. You can mix and match them. So this one, we're going to just fold that back on that line, fold the tab forward, again fold this side back, fold that tab forward. And so I might want to only just have smaller stepping pieces, or I could add those onto the front and make even more layers. So these sheets are just designed to give you lots of elements that you can mix and match and use them however you'd like. So folding this tab, fold that one forward, and then if I wanted to, I could add some other little elements there to bridge them, or just to finish it if I wanted to have it forward like that. So you can have a little play and use whatever you'd like with your card. Let's get started with our colouring. I'm just going to collect some markers and then I'll colour in the scene. Okay, I've got a few different markers here that I'm going to use. I've got some Copic Chows, so I've got G05 and G14. I've got a Copic Sketch marker, which is G07. We've got a Unity marker that I buy here in New Zealand. This is a number 48, yellow green. And then I've got some tri-blend markers. I have the Alpine Green blend, we have Earth Brown blend, and Muted Brown blend. So I'm going to have a go at using these greens and browns to colour my scene. And then I might bring in a soft, here's my go-to, my favourite. This is a Copic Sketch marker, BG11 Moon White. I love that for clouds. So I'm going to use some of these little cloudy images here to do green bushes, and then I might do a couple of clouds just with a soft blue. Now you'll see here I've got a small piece of a Cricut mat. When I've already cut my images, sometimes I like to stick them onto a mat to hold them together just while I'm colouring, and then it's easy to peel them off when I'm ready to do my card. I just find that that's really easy for the ones that I've pre-cut. Sometimes I will cut a whole lot of sheets and put them into little cups like this, so I've got things ready to go. You can see more of my farm images here, and so I pre-cut them, and then I can just take them with me if I want to put them in a bag and do some colouring when I'm away from my craft room. I can do that, and so that's a cool way to have them ready to go. Otherwise, sometimes I would like to just colour the whole sheet and then run it through my machine and cut it out afterwards. So you've got the option there. Cricut will ask you to print it, and on the side it will say I've already printed this sheet, and then it will skip through to start the cutting. So that's an option for you there. Okay, so we'll start with, I might start with this background piece here, and I think I'm going to start with my trees down the side. So I'll start with a lighter colour on the muted brown, and I'm just going to fill in the base parts of this tree, and then I can add a little bit of shading to it. So I'm just going to fill this part in. Now I'm going to come with the mid-tone and do a little bit of shading, just with a slightly darker colour, and just add some little bits of texture to my tree. Add some shadows there and make a bit of bark grain. Then I can go with the slightly darker one and just add a little bit more shadow where I want them to fall. So underneath the branches, maybe a little bit there above the branch, and then here at the ground I could add a little bit of shadowing here on my branches as well. So that's my trees done. I might add a little bit more with this other brown just to warm it up a bit. And I think I'll leave that one the way it is. Now I'm going to cover in the hills. I'll use this lightest colour, the yellow green, and I'm just going to go around my edges first, just so that I've got a bit of a margin, and then I can fill in with the big brush part of the marker. Now I can take the brush end, which is nice and soft, and I can fill that in. Now I'm going to take a slightly darker one. This is the G14. I'm going to come with the brush tip and just add a little bit of shadowing behind that first little hill line. I'll come down the edge of this tree, and I'm just going to flick out from there just so that it softly adds some colour. And I can also add some down this front part as well. Now you can always come back with the first colour and blend them back together a little bit if you want to as well. So we've got some really nice lush looking hills there. Now I'm going to work on my treetops. I want to go a little bit darker with those. Now I'll try the alpine green, and it's actually quite similar to these colours, but we're just going to add a little bit in here and just have a try of this lower part. And then I can come back with the mid-tone and just add a little bit of shadowing there. And you can see there's a bit of a difference in these two colours. Now I like to soften my shadowing sometimes by adding dots so that the original colour is still showing through behind this darker green. Now I want to come in with this Copic again and just blend those through a little bit together. Okay, so that's given me a nice sort of undertone for my tree there. So I'll do the same thing on this side with this big part. Okay, so we can just keep working on our layers. I'm going to keep coming forward with my marker and just fill in the rest of our tree. Now I'm going to bring in the G05 and just do a little bit of extra shading underneath where there's shadows. And I just want to bring in a colourless blender. I went out over the edge a little bit, so I'm just going to try and soften that back. Just lift that little bit of green that went over the edge. Okay, I want to grab this and just tidy up. Add some little shadows here. My green went over my branch. So you can always go back and add a little bit more just to build up the depth of colour and get it looking the way that you want. Okay, so that's building up a really nice little country scene. And now I'm going to colour some of these elements and then we'll see how we put it all together. All right, I'm going to do some little bushes here. I think I'll go with slightly darker tones now. I'll try this G07 Nile and colour that in as a base colour for some of these little bushes. Bring my lighter colour back in. Blend them together. So you just mix and match your pens. Get the colours that you want. just going to colour some clouds, just soft puffy little bits. And then we have all our elements done. So now we're going to get our card base and start building our scene. Now I've got several elements here that I'm going to use to build my scene card, and I just want to do a little bit of a sponged background, a panel to put behind my scene. So I've cut out a piece of white cardstock, smooth white cardstock, which is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, so it's the same size as my Cricut cut frame. And I'm just going to use a little bit of Distress Oxide inks. I've got tumbled glass and twisted citron and a couple of ink blending tools here that I'm going to use. Now I have one of my new Twistalicious stencils. I'm going to use this. It has some rolling hills and kind of wave designs and clouds. And I've also got another cloud one here as well. So I just want to have a little go at using these stencils to ink the background. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a sort of a rolling hill with the twisted citron, and this is just going to layer at the back of my scene. And I'm just using at the moment the ink that I still have left on this blending tool, and the bottom half of this panel is going to be covered by other elements in the scene, so I don't need to go all the way down there. I'm just thinking I might bring a little bit of mowed lawn just to warm that up, to get it sort of more of the green that I have from my markers, because the twisted citron is a little bit more of a yellow citrusy colour. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now I can come in and add a few little clouds with my tumbled glass. So I'm just going to twist my stencil around to get some cloud formation. And I don't want it too heavy, just nice and light. Or maybe I'll go a little bit heavier than that. Just adding a little bit of cloud there into my background, just so it's not a stark white panel at the back. Maybe I'll twist this around and do a little bit more, and I can cover my hillside so that it's protected. I'm just inking above that. And that just gives me a nice little scene in the background. Move those off to the side. And then if I slide this in behind, now I've got a really nice little scene background. Okay, so first off, I'm going to attach this to my base card. I'm just going to use some liquid adhesive and just go around on the back of my panel just to attach that down. So again, this panel is 6 3/4 by 4 3/4 inches, and I'm putting it onto a 5 by 7 card. Now that's just a nice little background there. You could use our print cut color sheets and just add your elements and make a little scene like that, and that's a cute little card. But I'm going to step it up a little bit and add my frame here, so it's like we're looking through a window. Now for this, I want to add some foam tape, so I'm going to put some of that around the edges, and I should have enough. Of course, you could always make it like a shaker card with your foam and put some acetate and add some little shaker elements in there. But I'm just going to add foam to lift it up a little bit, just to give some depth to my scene. And just putting that on. Okay, this foam tape is really sticky, which is good. And I'm just going to add a bit more on the bottom. Tuck these little bits of sticky foam back in, and then I can peel away, if I find my tweezers, peel away my release paper Now before I peel it right off, I'm just going to tuck it out the side like a little wing so that I can line it up on my card before I really push it down and commit it to where it's going to sit. Now because this foam tape is really sticky, I don't want it to grab onto my base card before I have it lined up where I'd like it to go. I'm just going to stand up so I can see what I'm doing. So with those tails, I can put it down, it's not sticking yet. I can move it round. So this allows me to get it into place so I know that it's nested over the top of my sponged panel. So now where the sticky is exposed, I can tack it down, gently peel these release strips off. And that one's torn. So I'll have to get the end of that one. I can press those ones down and I'll just see if I can get the rest of that paper to lift off. There we go. Okay, I love this. I'll just hold this up a little bit higher. Now see, with that foam we get a little bit of shadow there and we can tuck things inside. So that will allow me to tuck these things down behind the hill and I can layer those in there. Oh, I love that. I'm going to attach these directly to the base of my card. So we'll just put some glue on these. And I can tuck this down underneath there and behind the trees. I just want to have a little bit of my cloudy sky there. And then I'll get the smaller silo and nest that just a little bit in front of the other one. Okay, already we're building our farm scene and I'm loving how it's coming out. Okay, now I want to have my barn on the front of this hill and I'm going to put some foam at the back of it, if you can see that there, so that my barn will stand up a little bit. So I know that I want to put some thick foam there from the door up. So on my roof line, we'll just put some foam here. And I'll peel that out. And then on the bottom half here, I'm going to add some liquid adhesive, liquid glue, just so that it will grab onto this little hill here. And I want it to stand, well, we can tuck it in behind the tree because the tree can be the front of our scene, or we could have the barn there, but I think if I just tuck that roof and then put that into place, does it look straight? Okay, so now my barn, the top of it is sticking off the background of the card, and this is attached to the little hill. Okay, that would be a cute card just the way it is. We could add a little greeting, but I have some other elements here. I mean, look, you could add little fences. We've got wagon wheels, feeding troughs, water troughs. I've got a water trough here. There it is, fell off my desk. So you can add little things. Now I've got these extra little scene pieces, so I might just add this as a little pop-up. We could have the one that goes right across so that my barn is nestled further back behind the hill, and that would make quite a good little scene addition. But I think I want to have my barn showing a little more, and we've got these little hedges. Actually, that's kind of cute because you can still sort of see what's going on. Alright, now I've got these little tabs here. I didn't colour them at first, but I think I will, just to help them sort of disappear into the background a little more. So I'll just bring in my markers and I'll just quickly touch those up. Just so that the white doesn't stand out so much. You could always colour the back of these too if you wanted to, because this part here is going to be floating. These parts will be glued on to our card base. And if you feel like that tab is a little bit too wide, you could always trim it down a little bit if you want to. I think I'm going to trim just a little bit off, just so that it doesn't stand out so much. You don't have to, but I think in this case it might be a good little addition. So that way when I turn them over, they're tucked in behind. And I want to add some strong liquid glue. You could put strong double-sided tape here if you want to. But I want to push it flat onto my card so that when it is in the envelope, it will sit flat. But when it's taken out of the envelope, it will pop up and spring up. Okay, I'm just making sure that I don't have glue stuck to the back of those tabs. Okay, so you can see that it will, oh, hang on, I got to give it a minute to really stick. On this side. And then once it grabs hold, I can lift it and it will pop out a little bit more. Okay, so you can see that's going to stand out. That's cute, I like that. So I think to finish my card, I want to put in a couple of other things. I might put the wagon wheel, and maybe I'll pop up my little, maybe I'll have a wagon wheel in a bush. Actually, that's nice, I like that better. So I'm just going to attach my wagon wheel, just add some adhesive, some liquid glue onto the back of it. And not the whole thing, just the bottom half, and stick it in this corner. I could have glued probably the whole thing. And then this cute little bush, I can put a little bit of foam tape on the back, or a foam square. Let's get rid of these. But we can just use that to pop up. And that, I think, just finishes my scene. Nice, fresh little farmyard scene. And then I can add a greeting, or you could just put a greeting inside, and that card will stand up nicely. It's got a good amount of depth. This will flatten down or pop up. I think that is so cute. And then I think I'm going to make a second card later on. I'll share it when it's done, some photos. I want to use this longer scene and perhaps add some of the other elements from this colouring sheet, and just build up a cute little farm scene like that. Thanks so much for joining me today with our Make It Monday video. I hope that you've learned some tips and tricks as we've gone along to make our awesome little farmyard scene card. Now, if you are not a subscriber already, you can join our monthly subscription on our website, and that will let you get into our digital library where all of our print cut color sheets are listed in there, and you'll be able to download those designs and print them over and over again for your projects. You can purchase the designs individually from our storefront, but when you become a subscriber, you pay one small monthly fee and you can download all our designs instead of having to go and purchase all the individual ones, and that mounts up quite quickly. As a subscriber, you get to save. The other big perk of being a monthly subscriber is that you get access to our video library. So we have some video classes in there where you can watch along and work along with the projects that we have, and it just gives you ideas. Some of them are technique videos showing you different ways of doing crafting techniques. So that's a really good way to save. There's links in the description below our video, and I look forward to seeing you again. Until then, happy crafting!